Okay, so this is March 16th and should be my 7th video regarding a weekly discussion and questions and all of that. So for the past few weeks, I've been doing this with a certain guideline, with 4 questions in my mind, answering how was my week, what's your learning, what's my troublesome thoughts, and how can I improve regarding these thoughts and overall. I don't intend to add more questions because I think it's quite an effective 10 minutes video, or even sometimes 5. It's effective in the way that I'm able to look back and see how I've done and see the progress. But yes, these questions might change, it might not. Let's see how things goes. So yes, so this is March 16th. I hate to do it on a weekday, but it does seem like my schedules are not being very much aligned, and I have to take full responsibility for that. Because yeah, I feel the pain of doing things in a group where it's not ultimately up to you to decide when to meet and when to chat about stuff and time as well. Okay, since my last video was 6 days ago, so I would say it's a perfect time for me to start another video. Let's talk about the first question. How was my week? The summary of my week. Really good, really good. Can't complain. I think I've stressed the fact that I have 2 classes this semester or this quarter. Not too bad, it's I've got enough time to take a break. No longer a 996 schedule anymore, but I have to. I wouldn't say that definitely, because of the job searching part. It's a time-consuming aspect, and I wouldn't want to disregard that part. So still, time management and all the bullshit regarding work-life balance sounds so far away and not remotely achievable at this stage. After you read so many, obviously not enough, but so much books, YouTube videos, and philosophy regarding the sort of notion of, okay, you can achieve this balance. And I also heard of the notion of, work should be pleasant, and the society has made somehow work becoming unpleasurable. A fear of being late, fear of not achieving one's goal, its potential, fear of being fired, fear of being laid off, in terms of, especially at this time of COVID, and a lot of uncertainties, right? So one of the questions for me is I've always been trying to ask myself, is that work? And when it comes to work, I'm talking about grad studies, and that's an equivalent of work in a sense. When I talk about work, I think about how important it is when it comes to the totality of the things and events I need to achieve in my life. And not just, oh, I want to finish it for the sake of finishing it. I mean, everyone to do that. I mean, I'm capable of finishing everything almost, right? But, when it comes to design, when I chose design as a discipline, I chose it because of my own specialities, of hoping that I can somehow excel in this area. And I found, I'm pretty okay with interviews. I'm okay with doing research. I am a relatively decent writer, but in comparison to a lot of the visual stuff, I found myself lacking comparison to some of my schoolmates. Not a big deal, you know, no one's perfect. So I don't have much of a, I don't dwell on this topic of having a lack of visual design skills, although that was part of my interest in the very beginning, which is also why I post every day. But that goal has changed. So I guess I think a lot of, you know, to go back to the week, you know, thinking a lot about where does this work thing, where does that locate? How do I place work, quote unquote? How do I put this into my life? And how valuable is it? And how important is it? It's really good questions. You know, I've always considered that relationships on top of all my priorities. And work is nothing but a tool, and money is nothing but a tool. And I would love to have more money. Obviously, it's kind of bullshit. It's kind of a known fact that more money does solve more problems. So I wouldn't want to deny that. But as a matter of fact, you know, we do have to go back to the idea of balancing work and life. As I've believed that there's so much more than just living mindlessly and not diving into the existential problems, issues of why are we here. The why is possibly not the end goal. You know, the idea of end, the beginning has been rather clear, from confusing to rather clear, that there is no end or beginning, in a sense that the end is the beginning is the end. So the idea of a cyclical time, I've mentioned quite a few times in my posts, has been, you know, I would say I'm a believer in the sense that cyclical time is how I would want to interpret the beginning, the end, life, and death. So, you know, it's just a point on that cyclical spectrum. So yeah, to think more deeply, to think more intellectually, you know, the point here is that I need to find a calling, or at least a point of why am I doing design? What am I doing here as a designer? If I want to pursue that, which is obviously one of the most logical and rational case to speak of right now. You know, when I read about the article of helping disabled children, that was a really interesting insight for me, because I've always wanted to do something regarding that area due to my personal history. You know, so yes, I guess the problem is how to find that sort of goal-driven feeling that I've had a couple of years back. So to know that why you exist, and actually do it. You know, some people just like to run for president and they're okay with it. So I guess I want to find that sort of the feeling that, okay, if I want to help others, and yeah, I don't regret doing that. So, and that's the kind of the passion or the drive that I want to be able to feel again. Not like, oh, I've got to apply for a job, then therefore I have to, and therefore I get my pay. Yes, that's so meaningless. That seems like I'm just living a regular life. Yeah, sure, my life is average and normal, but you know, you have no value to seek for it. You have no value to display. You have absolutely zero meaning in this society, in this world. And then I found like, okay, well, that's just, I don't know, fucking bullshit. It's close to zero, close to none, non-existence. So yes, I emphasize the idea of why am I here and what am I here to do? I think that's one of the big questions wanting to be answered in the next 3 or 5 years. You know, when you're transitioning with work. But at the same time, I emphasized and stress that work is not part of who we are. It's part of who we are, but not all of us. So I'll talk about relationships, as obviously an important part of my life. And to take emphasis on that part is more on the little things, on the technicalities. The technicalities might sound a bit negative of intonation, but look, I would say to foster any sort of relationship needs immeasurable care. It's not like, okay, I want to celebrate this sort of anniversary, that therefore I create a I don't know, a firework or something that's enormously I don't know, like big or ceremonial to achieve this matter. But I would say relationships are more of a daily kind of strenuous task. Strenuous is probably not a good choice of word, but almost as if you need to do this every day. So the idea of competence and willingness to do these kind of tasks. And I enjoy it. So I would say that might be a lie, but as long as you enjoy that part of life, then I think you'll be fine. Oh gosh. So I guess to sum up, some of the troubling thoughts was, this sort of ideal work space. Now, what is it? Do I need to figure it out? And how do I do it? Do I do it by trying? I've always figured these things out by trying, but maybe there's a better way of doing so. And seeking out advice, right? I also fearful of seeking for advice because I believe that advice are easy to retrieve. So easy to simply get advice from others. And when it comes to advice, you need to be really careful. You have to reconsider this person's advice, this person's opinion, and honestly, the analysis process from others will take a lot of time for you to reconsider, to reanalyze. So that's one. And two is the part of relationship, which is the most important part that I want to readdress. And oftentimes me, like everyone else, will neglect that part and put more emphasis on work, even though I said quite strongly, quite evidently that relationship should come first. But yeah, I guess it's a common mistake that we all do. Still trying to figure out how to make that work, how to, to be the best person I can be, to set up an example or a model for others to at least not to disregard my behavior, not to seek my behavior as evil or simply bad or non-moral, if that's a word. Yes, I guess this week has left me a bit of more confusion to work on, but I guess one of the things I've learned this week was take action while you're confused as the best way to rid of that confusion. So I've always been a radical thinker. I've been an overthinker as well. And sometimes overthinking does not lead to a clearer mind. So why don't we end here and let's talk about this next week.